Welcome back. Today we are gonna be taking a look at some boats again. Not the BV238 that we had a few days ago, but this time actual warships. You guys as well as Wargaming seem to like the previous video that I did, so I thought why not take them up on the offer, considering it's their 8th anniversary, which it's kind of baffling to me. It's been 8 years since I quote-unquote started playing this game. It's of course been on and off, but every time I come back it kind of surprises me by how far this game has gotten. They're also hosting an event right now. It's kind of over the top really, it's kind of stupid, but in a good way. I'll link the trailer down below so you can see for yourself. It's the MEGADETH event, and if you want to take part in this, you can go to the link in the description as well as pinned in the comment section and fill in the promo code MEGADETH, and you should get some freebies as well as some entries to the event that's going on. The game is of course free to play. It's available for PC as well as for console. Before we get into the gameplay itself, let's take a look at the kit that we are rocking today. And yes, that is a reference to a rock band. We have a last stand, which means that if our gearing or our rudder, our propulsion gets damaged, we still have some ability to maneuver instead of being dead in the water. And with a cruiser, that's actually quite a big deal. We have Demolition Expert, which buffs our HE, as well as heavy HE and sap shells. And then we have Adrenaline Rush, which basically buffs our ship for every bit of damage that we take. Then we have Superintendent, and this will give us a... Can I get it? Thank you. This will give us another charge of everything that we have. So we have the AA thing, the speed booster, as well as just a heal, which is of course massive to have. Just extra HP. And then we have Concealment Expert, which decreases our spotting range. Because of course in World of Warships it's all about spotting range, not so much about render distance like in another game we are used to. But that's the Colbert. Absolutely littered with guns. 4 on the front, 4 on the back. I mean, there's not much to say about it. This thing is an absolute gunboat. But that's of course all theoretical. Let's look at how it actually behaves in practice. The Colbert is one of the bureau ships, and the bureau ships are extremely powerful, which I will demonstrate quite easily in this game that I'm about to show you. Of course, that doesn't mean that you are completely invincible and you can just walk at battleships in your cruiser. It's still a cruiser. You do not want to go broadside to something like a Yamato. You're still gonna get punished if you play it wrong. But it's a gunboat. What do we want to look for? We want to look for cover, we want to look for hills, and we just kind of want to shoot over them. The main thing here is getting a good position, getting a chokehold on the enemy team, and just start absolutely raining on them. I mean, look at this. I have 6 guns on target. Every gun has 2 barrels. That's a lot of shells going down range, and the reload is absolutely ridiculous. So if you get in position, if you catch someone off guard or out of position himself, you can kind of just slam fire the guy until he finally burns to death, which is really the name of the game in this thing. You just kind of want to loiter around. This is of course a perfect map for this ship. If you are on a ship like Ocean, for example, you are not gonna have that great of a time. But the nice thing here is that you just have the ability to just fire constantly. The DPS of this thing is absolutely stupid, and basically anything that's out of cover will lose at least half their health. Now, you are not as much of a DD hunter. As you can see, we don't have hydro, we don't have a radar. So in terms of options, in terms of the supportive cruiser role that you will find yourself in normally with something, say, American cruisers, that's kind of not the play here. You don't have the option here to push into smoke and just absolutely melt a destroyer. However, if a destroyer does get radared next to you, if a destroyer does go too close to you, to the point where they can't really hide themselves anymore, you can imagine that these guns will just absolutely tear it apart. And that's exactly what it does do. Against lightly armored ships, they don't want to get close to this thing. They will not survive to tell the tale. Unless of course you miss every round, because as you can tell as well, the rounds have quite the arc. They're not particularly fast. It feels a bit like a higher tier Atlanta. Except this one actually has some kind of range. The Atlanta is of course one of those ships that you always wanted, or at least I always wanted when I started playing this game. I just saw the amount of guns it had and I just had to have it. I never actually got around getting it, because when I watched the videos on the ship before I bought it, I found out just how bad the range on those guns were. Of course, the arcs as well as the stupendous drop kind of helps in a sense, because it means you can shoot over things easier, so it does help the playstyle. But you still need to get used to aiming it, because it's not It's not brain dead, click and shoot. It's not like the Kutuzov, which is probably my most used ship in the game, which has absolute rail guns. It's probably not as good anymore as it was before, but I used to absolutely love that thing. That thing is of course better on a map like Ocean, where there is no cover and you can just shoot across the map in your smoke. But in reality, you don't want to be on Ocean in your cruiser anyway. But let's reposition a bit. We have done our damage here. People don't really want to sit in our bubble, in our little jacket, or a Colbert I should say. And we're just gonna see if we can engage someone else. Repositioning is of course very important in this game. Because sure, the range isn't as terrible. Keep in mind, 16 kilometers in a tier 10 is still not particularly good. So you still need to get a move on. You can't just sit in the middle of the map and wait for them to get near you. You need to be somewhat proactive, which is why we have the speed boost here. We want to close the gap. We want to get into position quickly. And we obviously want to keep the enemy team guessing. By repositioning, it makes it so that they need to move as well to get cover again. And if they are in cover from us, maybe they won't be in cover from someone else. This way you can hope to kind of push them out of position. We then notice a full broadside cruiser, so we switch to AP. We decide to shoot 3 volleys off before he's in cover, 4 even. And it doesn't really matter because the shells are so slow that half of it hits the hill anyway. AP also does another thing, of course. It's harder to heal than HE damage. HE damage and fires as well are basically completely healable. Whereas if I hit you in the broadside with 12 AP shells and I get 1 or 2 citadels in as well, then you're basically out of the match, considering the size of his health bar right now. We are going to reposition. We're going to push up to the blob on the other side here. And then we are going to run into a bit of a problem. It's a massive battleship and we hadn't seen him yet, so we weren't aware of him being there. So we are going to instantly turn out. We are going to switch back to AP again. And I want you to take a look at the damage that we do with the AP here. Just like that. Volley 1. Boom. 6800. Volley 2. Boom. 47. Third volley. I mean, I'm shooting not as many shells now. Third volley, of course, doesn't really hit that much. But still, like 1200 damage with a singular shell, which is very welcome. And just like that, we are back into cover. We can still shoot this guy, but a second battleship shows up. We're gonna go park behind this little island here. And because he's a battleship with stupendous range, we can actually sit behind this hill. We can shoot over it, and he cannot shoot at us. Unfortunately for us, our teammates are not there to help us spot the guys. So we can't really shoot back at them. However, the second guy does get spotted again. So we are going to switch to HE and just absolutely pelt his superstructure and hopefully set him on fire. We're just going to keep hammering this guy. We are going to slowly move a bit more forward to sit behind the higher portion of the island. Just to make sure really nothing can shoot back at us. As you can tell, our shells barely go up over it. That means that he will not be able to shoot back at us at all. Look at the trajectory on the shells on the left there that he just shot. Much flatter, much more range. They are much more like real guns, but it also means that he can't really shoot back at us when he is behind any kind of cover. He needs to be in the open basically, or a very low island. But if he's too close to a very low island, he can't shoot anything because his shells go so flat. And everyone can shoot him because at the receiving end, shells will drop more as when they come out of the barrel. So now we just sit behind another piece of island, as you can tell. We are still in cover from the battleship behind us. We switch targets and we do the same thing we have been doing the entirety of this match. Holding down mouse 1 with HE shells. And it's a matter of time because I go faster than him. So I can keep in cover by going forward and I can keep shooting over it. However, then a second guy pops up and he does spot us and he is gonna make our life a little bit more difficult because we are completely broadside. However, he's not looking at us because he's fighting someone else. So we can just kind of keep shooting at him. However, the other ships are coming out of cover to pressure us, so we just now need to leave. There's 4 guys aiming at us, so I do want to just get out of here. And I have no real options here other than to run. I don't have smoke, I don't have anything to conceal myself. I need to just run for actual hard cover. And maybe kill someone in the process, because when they're dead, they also won't be able to contest us. As you can tell, they're not real happy with us. Everyone wants us dead. And we're just gonna keep shooting. We're just gonna keep kiting, go left and right, dodge their shells. And because they are big, heavy battleships, they can't really do the same thing to us. Because we have a constant stream of bullets, they can't really do the same either. This makes it very hard for them to dodge our shells. While for us, it's really not that big of a deal. We are smaller, we are faster, we are more agile, and it makes it much easier for us to actually dodge their shells. And also make sure to kind of switch up your speeds. Go faster, go slower, makes it much harder for them to lead the shots. And now we are in cover. And as I said before, this map is tailor-made for a ship like this. If you have a big map with a small amount of islands, you will not get away with what we are doing right now. So I noticed that this guy is almost dead. There's a guy on our left side that keeps hammering us. I think those are sap shells with the red trailing shells. I'm not too familiar with them. And I want to get in cover from him now. Yeah, the one that's shooting us right now. So I just keep hammering this guy, get him out of the game. And we want to push on to the next island so we are in cover but can still shoot back at them. I can of course take cover at the first island on the G line, I think it is. But that means that I won't be able to shoot anyone else myself. If I was in a carry situation, maybe that would work. Maybe I could make sure that I don't die and get as much damage as possible. But as you can tell by the top bar of the ships, we've lost 2 ships and they have lost like 6. Which means that our win is kind of imminent. And at this point it is all about chasing the big damage number. In hindsight, I think I should have switched to AP here. This guy is absolutely broadside. I could have absolutely hammered this guy. However, with the amount of HE that we are slinging out, we are probably going to kill him regardless. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But I think shooting AP at the guy would have been the play here. But at this point, it's just a matter of cleaning up the game and getting as much damage as possible. So we are just going to be absolutely suicidal. We already have 230k. Let's see if we can make it 300. And the way to do that is just to get close enough to them and just kind of stop giving a shit. Just hold W. Get as close as possible, get as much DPS as possible. Because our team, of course, has the same idea. They see that the game is wrapping up. They still want to get some resource done. They still want to get the silver. They still want to be able to buy stuff. So they're all now going to start rushing in because they are completely outnumbered. And that means that we need to hurry it up as well. And now it's just neuron activation, look around, shoot everything that moves. And the game is essentially over. Is it solely because of the damage we did at the start? Of course not. At the end of the day, it's always a team game. But being an absolute nuisance in a ship like this, pushing everyone out of position, does help your team tremendously. As you can see, we have 268,000 damage already. And there is still yet more to come. We want to push the last battleship as well as the cruiser here. Because I need my damage. I want 300,000. Keep in mind, in terms of research, 300,000 isn't always equal. If you kill 300,000, which is not gonna happen, worth of destroyers, you're gonna get a hell of a lot more as when you get 300,000 damage worth of battleships. Because it's based on percentage based. And because a battleship of course has like 8 times the health, you won't get 8 times the research for killing a battleship. If that was the case, then everyone would be farming them and battleships probably would be completely unplayable. Now we see a guy here that's kind of in cover, but we are also rolling out of cover. Now this is not the best play here. We could have been a little bit slower. But at this point we're just trying to get as many kills in as quickly as possible. We do turn back in. We do want to get back into cover, but we are so out of position now that if we don't kill this guy before he reloads or get his back turrets on target, that is exactly what will happen. A bit greedy. But you know, we've already won anyway. Don't forget to check out the MEGADETH event in the description as well as in the comment. Thank you very much Warships for sponsoring the video. And of course, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.